started it yesterday a little bit, but I was kind of off a good sleeping schedule and didn't really stream very much yesterday. Today we're going to get a lot more done. I have some stuff I completed off stream that I will catch everyone up on real quick, since you might be trying to follow along with progress on this 4coder weekend. So last thing we did on stream was this, and then I went to start working on the command lister offline, and I hit a nasty bug in this, and so I basically spent like the next 2.5 or 3 hours of the day working out a few fixes to the lister that was introduced when I did this complex sorting stuff. So I'm going to go through that real quick, make sure that I've completely remember and understand the fixes that I introduced, make sure that they look completely correct, and then I will wrap up the command lister, which is almost done, and then I have a bunch of new listers I want to do, so we're going to do this. I'm going to expand this list quite a bit. So it's not just the command lister and the function lister. I also think we want a snippet lister. I think we want a word complete, a turbo word complete lister. I think we want to be able to convert jump list to lister. I think we want to have a project command lister, and we want a project F key, or a project F key remapper, and a project mode lister. That might be a good start for all the listers we're actually going to do today. So Saturday of the weekend of 4coder will be all about knocking out all these crazy new listers that we want. And then Sunday we have the choice of a bunch of other fun stuff to look at. I might even try to get to this. We're gonna go wild now. I'm caught up on sleep. Nothing's stopping me from going all day long. So should be good. Yoshimoto555 asks, is there any way to have viewSet highlight not lock the cursor? No, viewSet highlight is basically setting the cursor. It's not implemented separately at all. It's not like that's a setting that gets turned on and off. That's literally just how it works, is it changes the cursor position and sets a length, and then you have a highlight. That's all there is to it. Alright, let me catch up on the Discord real quick, because there's been a lot of chat on there today. In the last 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so. I should also tweet that I'm live. Probably just set all the explanation of what I'm doing just for YouTube, because there's probably no one here to check it out, hear what all I just said right now. Yoshimoto555, is there any way I can re-implement it using the API so that it doesn't lock the cursor? Well, it depends on what you mean by lock the cursor, but you could manually keep track of where you think the cursor is. Like, keep a variable of where the cursor is, keep a variable of where you want the highlight to be, and then when you are done with the cursor, you can just when you're done with the highlight, just set the cursor back to where you want it to be. But there is nothing you can do from the custom end to have both a cursor and a highlight on screen at the same time. The most you can hope for is to have their values, track them separately so that you don't forget the cursor position when you change the highlight position. And then you use the fact that you're remembering where the cursor used to be to restore it when you're done. The Burke is real. How do you determine what part of the file to render? Do you have some sort of internal line cache? So, I mean, there's a lot of details that go into it. Basically, I have a coordinate conversion system that says that you can put in, like, hey, here are some coordinates I want. This line number, this character. So I can be like, the position they're scrolled to, I want to be at line 100, because the lines are all the same height. So I can just take the Y position of the scroll, divide by line height, and round down, and I find the first line that needs to go on the screen by that, right? Then I say, okay, I want to go to this line number, find me the first character of this line number. I find that, and then I say, okay, here's how high the whole view is. So what line number what's the last line number that I need to be able to render? Find that in the same way, and then go one line below that and say, give me the character range that starts at the beginning of this line and ends at the beginning of this line off screen. Read that whole range of text into a local buffer and then render that. Everything in 4coder is based on the idea of using like a metadata for coordinate conversions to find portions of a file and find things in the file that you want. Once I have the range of text I want to render, I do all the work of laying that text out to do the render. I don't keep a line cache. If that is something you are specifically interested in how I do it, there's no line cache in that sense. Alright, let me read the Discord real quick. Alright, this is more about the layout stuff, yeah. Yep. Alright, nothing I need to respond to in the Discord. Looks like they're mostly understanding the situation. Alright, let's get to it. Yoshimoto, sorry, yeah, I know it's a pretty nasty limitation. As you can see right here, I intend to make a separable version where you can have an unlimited number of highlights and cursors and whatever else you need. Like you can have a highlight range and a couple of cursors, one cursor, one highlight range, highlight a line. It's all going to be in there in the next build. So in the meantime, you'll just have to like hack around it with the thought in mind that pretty soon you'll be able to do it right anyway, if that helps. Okay, let's get to this stuff. So I want to reread what I did yesterday to fix the messed up sorting problem. So I iterate these and I say give me the item if equals item index count. So the thing I don't think makes any sense is these are still going to get reordered here anyway. Like just because I say this matches this doesn't mean that this and this are correct, because the third thing in this order is not the third thing total. If the node knew its raw index, that would help a lot. Let's take a look, because I feel like that's the way I need to look at this. Yeah, okay, so what we can do is say this. We know the count right here. So every time we add something, let's just set the node to have a raw index right there. And every time we add something, we set the raw index equal to this. And then we put it on the back and increment the count. That'll make it actually possible to get this correct. because then I don't need this or this. I will need something like that eventually, but I want it down here where I'm doing the item index counter in the correct order. If those are equal, then the raw item index equals, then we take the node's raw index. That's so much better. Okay. Except that's the wrong place for it, but other than that, so much better. Jim! Welcome. Welcome back. Delix, I see, is in the stream too. You guys have the same color on your username, so I almost didn't notice both of you. Welcome, welcome. Alright, so here is the newest, coolest thing. Ready for this, people? Alt-X. It no longer, there's no such, I removed the long command stuff. Long commands are a thing of the past. Now we do have a weird thing where the text runs past the edge. You see the red of the text going past the edge of the lister item there? Got to deal with that. But now I can scroll through. Here are all the commands in 4coder. And I don't know. I want to toggle full screen. Click. Alright, I want to load a project. Boop. Okay. Alright, and then finally let me pull up 4ed.cpp. It's currently in Nix line endings. I want to DOSify this file. Boop. That didn't work. DOSify. That command stopped working or something? Let's do something different. I want to clean all line endings. Boop. Huh, that doesn't work. Alright, so it's still not working. If I click, it's working? No, even that's not working now. Weird, right? Is it possible that executing the command fails because we're in UI mode? Okay, so that's a bit tricky. That's a separate thing. So toggle full screen worked, and that did not work. None of the buffer editing stuff worked. So, okay, that's still an issue with this command lister then. So, here's the problem. Yep. We gotta think about this. So when I activate this command lister, I just get a user data pointer. That's a command function, and I call it. Problem is, I might be calling it, but the view that is currently active is still in UI mode. Alright, let's try that. Toggle full screen. I wonder if I should type full screen. Yeah, that would be better. Load a project. Boop. Toggle full screen, load a project. I want to pull up something like that. Exact match jumps to the top as you just saw. And then spaces here. Clean. There we go. Okay. So now I can use text insertion commands. So let me do a note. Right, okay. So now that part works, which we're going to need when we do something like my snippet list. So, that's good news. Alright, so if you ever want to do something that edits the the buffer that you currently have open. Like if you want the context that was beneath you, like you are in some context, you begin this glister, you activate something, and then you want to operate on the context beneath you, you need to end your current mode, do your operation, and then start it again, and return, and then let the system clean itself up the way it normally does, and then end again. It's a little bit weird, but, I mean, it's just a Boolean flip on the core. Those are really cheap operations, so I don't see why I should care that much. And I feel like that's cleaner than... The only thing that's weird is why can't I do this, right? Someone someday is not going to know that they're supposed to restart the UI. It should be actually able to work this way, because then you can just end UI mode and it just keeps working. So let's just see what we can do about that. UI helper, activate. Where is the activate handler call? Yes. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do is end UI mode immediately anyway. So what I should do is this. Right? If you return finish, then we just end, and if we were already ended, that won't kill us. If we return continue and refresh, we restart in case you did finish, end it in the middle. So like if you did this and then you activated but you wanted to continue using the lister for whatever interesting reason you had, then this would reactivate it, the UI mode for you. And yeah, and then the only other question is there a third one of these? Lister act continue. Okay, so if we get a lister activation continue, but no refresh, we still want to do at least this. Okay. Alright. Awesome. Awesome sauceum. Full screen, load project. Taking a second. We're in a debug build loading a big project. Sorry about that. Let's try some other stuff. Close panel. Okay, that works. Vertical V-split. Open panel V-split. Yes. Actually, with that in place, it might be time to finally remove these bindings, because I don't like having those sitting around. I accidentally hit Control-Shift-P once in a while, and then I have to wait for it to redo the layout. And if I accidentally do this, then I have to do this and wait around. You know, it's like, oof. Having those off the keyboard would be good, and then I could just do them the long way. We can free up a lot of command space again, because there's a lot of things that are on keys now that I can just offload, because I don't have the burden of... It's just free. All of it is free. I don't have to do... I used to have to do a switch list, so only things that I definitely wanted, but that were I definitely didn't want on a keyboard went there. Now that it's just free for me to do it, I can assume everything is offloaded to a slow path, and only things that really should be on the fast path need to be there, because I don't have to do extra work to offload certain things anymore. So I'm going to do a quick round of hatcheting up the command map actually before we move on. I will visit the to-do list and move command lister into the X'd off state. Now let's take a look at the bindings. Okay, so you guys are all gone. No more accidentally hitting these things. Changed active panel, that's all good. Where is the stuff like that? Increasing and decreasing font size, you're gone. You're gone. Gotta do this twice because there's the Windows and Mac separation. Change active panel. Change active panel backwards. Okay, I like all of those bindings. Open color tweaker, you're gone. Gone. Close build panel, go to next jump, no skip, sticky, go to first jump, sticky, build in build panel, execute any CLI. Okay, so this is an interesting case. First of all, the execute previous CLI really is only useful if it's quick to activate, because the whole point is you want to redo a thing over and over again. So, if I'm going to move one of these two off, it would actually be this one, but that's weird in my mind. That feels weird to be like, oh, Alt-Z we want to save, but Alt-Shift-Z will keep so that we can repeat this, and we'll just do the long form for this. I'm going to just leave both of these, even though I feel like this one technically doesn't need to be on a short path. The mental model of them both being on the same key with the only difference being a shift, I like, so I'm keeping it. It makes it easy for me to remember how to get to them, and it's nice and expectable. Alt-X is staying because it's now one of the most important commands, being the one that activates the command lister to get to all of the shit that isn't bound. Okay, all of that I think is just gone. We don't need those toggles sitting around anymore. Same actually with that. Yeah, that can go too. Heyo! Drunk Dane, welcome. I'm getting rid of lots and lots of command bindings that I don't need sitting around anymore. Okay, I'm going to keep exit 4coder because it's ingrained in me. It's one I hit very frequently. Not because I'm exiting 4coder all the time. It's a great product. I use it a lot. I just, you know, I'm used to shutting it down that way is all I'm saying. Don't read into it. Stop. Jesus. Anyway, yes, that's all good. Left, right, delete. Shift delete, that's all good, that's all good. Backspace, shift backspace, yes, up down. Home, and page up, page down controlled, page up, page down non-controlled, key right, key left, key up, key down with the controls, that's all correct, this is all good, none of this needs to change. Key up, so those just get eliminated in the Mac version because the Alt key's all fucked up and I didn't feel like replacing them. I guess maybe that's the reason, or maybe it's a mistake and we will find out when we try it. No, it's definitely because these bindings don't actually work on Mac. Why don't I do this instead? See if that'll work. It's worth a shot. That's funny. I like that. I like that. Backspace word, delete word, snipe token or word, right. Oh, I don't use that frequently enough. Actually, yes, I do. I use alt delete. Yeah, those are good. That's good. I like these snipe ones sometimes. They're very useful. You can just go, oh, bloop, it's gone. You don't have to like, oh, two different things. No, just snipe it. Snipe the whole thing. Alright, set mark. Yes, that needs to be on the short path. Replace in range. Yes. Copy, absolutely. Delete range, yes. Delete line, yes. Center view, yes. Left adjust view, yes. Search, yes. List all locations. Interesting. That might be one that's a candidate for taking out. List all locations. Honestly, kind of what I want is just one command on the short path that switches to a lister that's like, which version of list all locations do you want? Do you want substrings or exact matches, and do you want case sensitive or not case sensitive? 4 options, you pick one, and then you do the list. Then you type in a thing you want. We'll put that on the back burner. For now, I'll leave these the way they are. Go to line, very good. List all locations of selection. Yes, keep that around. Kill buffer. Toggle line wrap. Taking that out. Duplicate line, cursor mark swap, reopen. I'll leave that on there for now. I'm questioning, but I'm leaving it on for now, because if you won't have to reopen frequently, that would get pretty annoying. And I could imagine cases where you need to do it over and over again. Query replace, yes. Query replace identifier. Yeah, I use that. I use that a lot, yeah. Reverse search, yes. Yes, definitely. Save to query. Save to query. I don't even remember that being a thing. Uh-oh. Crashy man. I must have a crash still. I'm not sure what it is. We'll have to track that down. I didn't realize there was still a crash in the build I was running. Grr. Okay. Well, just another thing on the to-do list today. Back to MetaGen. Did I lose anything? Did I lose anything? And by lose anything, did I get anything? What I mean to say is, did I get anything back that I no longer wanted? Since what I'm actually potentially losing right now. Yeah, that's all still updated. Reopen, list all locations, what's the go-to line? The toggle thing is gone, so take me down to Mac. There you go. Okay, so we were just checking out, yeah, the toggle thing is gone. Okay, we were looking at save to query. I don't touch the Mac touch bar. I do not touch the touch bar, and I do not program for it either. Okay, so that's my save as. I am taking that out. Almost never ever need that. And when I do, I don't mind it taking a couple seconds to pull up the command. Search identifier. Yes, we want that. List all locations of identifier. Yes. Paste and indent. Yes, definitely. Toggle virtual whitespace. I'm going to take that. Pretty much anything that's a toggle is a thing you execute once or twice to get it into the state you decide you want, and then you leave it there for a while, so toggles don't really need to be on the fast path. Paste, next, and indent. Yes, yes. Cut, redo, undo, all that is good. Keep it the way it is. Binding, okay, view buffer other panel, yes. Swap buffers between panels, yes. Toggle show whitespace. Gone. Clean all lines, gone. New line or go to position sticky, yes. New line or go to position name same panel sticky, yes. Right character, yes. The following commands only apply in files where the lexer syntax highlighting is turned on. Cool. Let's take a look. Right and left, yes, yes, yes. Right and auto tab, yep, that's all good. Word complete, auto tab range, auto tab line at cursor. I don't really want to change any of those because I'm not relying on them, and I don't know if the people who are relying on them, how frequently they use each version. But I am relying on that all the time, obviously, so that's staying. Okay, write hack, block, to do, and note. I feel like those need to be on the fast path because that's kind of the whole point. List all locations of type definition. I can never remember the name of like the binding to that. I can never remember the binding. So here's the question. I can't remember the binding very easily. I always forget it. I'll start executing this way more frequently now that I can get to it via the command name, because that's like what my brain has bothered to memorize about how to get to it. But I just never can remember the key binding when I actually want to do it. So I don't hit it very often. I don't know if anyone out there is going to sorely miss it, like where they just flying around their code hitting Alt D, Alt T all day long. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even have a computer with the touch bar. I'm gonna get one, obviously, someday, so that I can find out what the deal is. But 4coder on Mac is weaker than 4coder on Linux and Windows. The downfall of Mac is that, and this isn't just 4coder on Mac, but Mac in general, is that it's very hard to get things to work exactly the same because even the right down to the keyboard stuff is all different. Like you don't have the same bindings. Like a lot of stuff is taken by the operating system that you just can't touch, and there's no way to be like, oh, let's treat this modifier as that modifier, let's treat this modifier as that modifier, and off we go. No, the things that are conventions on Mac are very different from the things that are conventions on Windows. The things that you can bind, even if you try to do that, are just not gonna let you do everything exactly the same. And then, you know, there's this whole new touch bar system, and it's like just more stuff that complicates the Windows to Mac stuff. Another thing is the Mac text rendering is not good enough. On Mac, you really have to have high DPI handling working correctly, which I don't have right now, so that looks really poor. So yeah, it's just a lot of issues with that particular port still. Alright, open long braces. Yeah, all those need to be on the fast path because that's the whole point. Highlight surrounding scope, place in scope, delete current scope, scope goes up down. Those all need to be on the fast path. Again, that's the point. I feel like that I could actually take off the fast path. I don't know. I hit that very frequently though. Open file in quotes, open matching file CPP, write 0 struct, list all functions current buffer. Yeah, these all get used, so none of those are changing. Yeah, and that's all new stuff, none of that's changing. So, here's the deal. I think that's pretty good. We've cleared out a bunch of key bindings. Let me make sure it still builds, or should. The thing I should say about Mac is porting to Mac is, well, modulo the OpenGL stuff now. Porting to Mac is easier than porting to Linux, at least. I think at this point it might just be that everything's a nightmare because of the whole graphics situation. But when OpenGL was an option, porting to Mac was actually a little easier than porting to Linux for graphical things, especially like games, because unlike Linux, you had a more predictable, sort of stable, single way to make the graphics stuff work correctly, instead of like a million bajillion different configurations that could fuck up how OpenGL contexts get created. Which is what you get on Linux. Alrighty. Yeah, sound is sort of, it's like epically bad. It's like bad in the way that it's not sensible. It's surprising in its badness. It finds ways to be bad that you don't think should be possible when you discover them. When you're doing Linux sound stuff. Okay, so, so we have that building. Let's get back to the to-do list. Alright, with command lister in and our bindings thoroughly cut down so that there's now room for all kinds of new stuff on the fast paths, and so that I don't accidentally hit Control P all the time anymore, or Control, like I used to have this problem all the time of being, want to hit Control 0 to do this, right? And accidentally hitting P instead, right? Or minus. And now those are all just going to be removed, so I can just hit Control 0 in peace. I'm not interested in saving that many key combos right now. We just saved a lot. I mean, maybe someday I would do that, but having all those on the fast path, the note to do hack stuff, having that all on the fast path is pretty handy for me. I use them all quite frequently. All right. So looking at these other listers. So this one here is a bit more of a project. Command lister exposed a problem with the sorting that we did, but now it's time to deal with this convert jump list to lister. Also, while I'm here, I need to make sure clip box inside Rex, UI Rex, or at least stop the string before it overflows. Yeah. Also, automatically insert a space after the main name. Two more things I want to get done sooner or later before I ship. And probably before I even move on from these things. Okay, so convert jump list to lister. How are we gonna make that? How are we gonna do it? That's what I meant to say. I didn't misspeak. Let's think. So here's a list of all the places where the word for shows up. Whether it be capitalized, uncapitalized, or a substring of something else, it shows up one way or the other. And so I think we want to be able to say parse it out of this. So we already do the parse. We have the jump list data sitting around. Can we build a lister that takes every jump in this list, takes the line of the jump, makes it the text of the jump, and then maps the activatable lister item to performing that jump. There's actually like a bunch of different ways in which we might want that to work for different cases. Like we might want to be able to say, hey, I want to, when I activate this thing, replace the current view's buffer position with that. Like remove the whatever was there, get rid of the UI, and in this view jump to this thing. Could also mean leave the lister up and jump to this thing in the other panel, or in this other panel here that I specify. Or it could mean don't leave the lister up, but do jump to this in a different view. There's like, do I jump to this in this view or into a different view? And if I'm not jumping to it in this view, if I'm jumping to it in this view, I always will clear the UI. But if I'm jumping to this in a different view, do I clear the UI or not? Okay, yeah, so I think we're going to just try to get to the point where we can easily invoke a function that pulls up a lister for any of those modes, and then build the commands for each type of lister in different cases, right? I think that that's the best way to move forward. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Because then the function lister will just be a matter of building one of these for all the functions in the whole program, and or in all of the open buffers, and then building opening the lister on top of that, like boom, like bam. So let's take a look at what that's going to take. We want to go to the process, okay, yeah, let's do one thing at a time here. Let's go to, the jump to search. Okay, here's default include, and we want to see where is UI helpers right here and here. Lists is right here, search is right here. So I feel like we're talking about basically making a list under, this is one of those weird things where it's like I have two different things and then they're both coming together into a thing that requires both simultaneously information from both, and do I include this with one of those, or do I make a new thing that's like search list? I'll do it. I have like a problem with the proliferation of that's another thing, the new buffers aren't getting strings anymore. I want to look into that. I have like a proliferation of too many files in the 4coder custom layer, and a part of the reason for that is that I keep on insisting on keeping these things clean like this. Lister for search buffer. Wait, this isn't even right. It's a jump, not even. Jump lister. Lister for jump buffer line. Jump buffers. Jump lister. Rename file. Jump lister. Okay. lists. Okay, now we're making one of these basically, but we're going to get to it carefully. So let's take a look at jump sticky. Basically the idea here is we want to get access to somebody's list, jump list. Alright, so make this for buffer. Get macro list for buffer. Yeah, so that's okay. Now the question is, does the marker list have enough information? It doesn't. Okay, so here's a couple of questions. First of all, why does it say int32 instead of buffer ID? Second, can we do this? Answer yes. Just pulled it off. Do I use the C+ dialect? I'm not sure what you mean by C+. I mean, I know what you mean, but I don't know what you mean by it. I know C++ is a phrase people use. I don't know what is or isn't considered C+. I mean, probably you would consider my system C+, if you looked at all of it. So, anything else that I need here? The buffer ID brings in the list of jumps, because then I can do this. Go list for buffer. The UI view is where we will put the UI when we're ready to set it up. And then there's the settings. So there's going to be like, well, shit. I'm going to need a 4coder jump lister.h crashing. Good, good. Definitely a major issue. Don't know how I crashed on that paste just now. Lots of things cause a crash in this build. It seems to be caused by some kind of text insert fail. Anyway, do I still have jump lister? Yep, it's just missing all the work. Okay. Application links app. view summary UI view buffer ID jump buffer ID, and then I need a 4coder jump lister.h. Let's try this again. Still can't ship next week. Still got crashes. Yeah, I always pop out the chat window. The trick is when you pop it out, it won't let you merge it into a tab unless you right click on the top of the window and say view as tab, and then you can put it in as a tab with everything else, which is, I don't know why it's not just the way that it works. Why does it pop out into like a window without tabs? Why would that ever even be a feature in Chrome to begin with? It doesn't make any sense. Right now, Valve just asked if there's a way to insert a clock on the status bar. Not right now. There's no customization of the status bar yet. It's been a long-standing request that I make that customizable, and it's just not happened because it's priorities, you know? It's not up very high on the list. You could make a footer buffer that is very small, you know, like the build buffer, but even smaller. And why won't it let me? Wait, what's going on here? Okay, apparently I can't click and drag these anymore. Bug to check out. But imagine this being very small and just having the clock down there. You could do that. Jump buffer ID, and then we want so this is going to be the jump lister activation rule. Activation, get rid of those. Jump lister activation in UI view. Open in UI view. Open in target view. Open in target view. Close UI. Keep UI. Open in next view. Keep UI open in next view. Close UI. Then we can put down here jump lister activation rule. Activation rule. View ID. Target view ID. Or rather, to make it even better, view summary optional target view. There we go. Alright, so there we have that, and now we want to do the work that opens the jump lister. So let's come over here to the regular lists and see how that needs to look. Right, so we need basically two main functions need to be implemented anytime we want a lister, and then the command that opens it up, or in this case the function that opens it up. So, step 1, we end the UI mode on the UI view. Step 2, we get the handlers, and we're going to do a generate jump list, activate jump. Now, maybe we want multiple activates in this case. I'm not sure. Begin integrated lister with refresh handler. App jump handlers. Think about that in a minute. UI view. Now, here's where things get complicated. We need the jump buffer ID to stick around, and so that this can generate jump list here can pull from that. No, we don't need a refresh on this. Yeah, I'm doing this the wrong way. Fixed options. Okay, so fix options doesn't quite work, but I want to be able to with refresh handler. I don't have one that works without a refresh handler, huh? Oh well. I mean, you could imagine making one that works without a refresh handler, so you can just say, here's the list, go. And that's kind of what I actually needed down here, because this and this could be merged into one function and there would be no refresh. The refresh would be make no change, use the same list you've already got. But it's not a fixed option list, because that's more like for the yes-no save scenario, where you don't actually want them to type in the answer and narrow down a list. You have a very small list to begin with. So I need a different wrapper is what I need. Okay, before we move on with jump lister, let's make another layer over here. With refresh handler, file system list, buffer list. Yeah, so I want to make one that's like fixed options, static void begin integrated lister, unchanging list. It's not a list of fixed options. I want the options to still dynamically sort and filter. So it's not fixed in that sense, but it isn't ever going to need to refresh. Single list, unrefreshed list, no refresh. No refresh, probably. Alright, so now the question is, what does this take in? How does it work exactly? Okay, let me think. What I basically want to do is be able to run that code that I have already down here. Let me just save what I've got. So I have this and this, and I'm going to pretend that it would all work if I did begin integrated lister. There's no refresh. Without list refresh. Command handlers 0 view, and then I need to put in this information here. But the question is, when it comes in through the callback, we have the arena and lister pointer. Where do those come from? Helper refresh. Call refresh handler. Okay, call refresh handler gets it from the state lister and the state arena. Okay. So now the question is, that state, do I actually have access to it, or no, I don't? Annoying. Very annoying. Okay. So the other option here is if I look at yeah, that's what I need right there. Okay, so get rid of this. This is the wrong direction. Keep this for a second. We'll still get rid of it. But the idea is we want something similar to these, where we take in the list at like call time. So here's the query string, lister activation function type, activate user data. Okay, that's really handy because then I don't need to make my own handlers anymore. I can just say here's the activate command and pass it in. Okay, that'll be good. Lister fixed option. I'm going to do lister options. Now I want to make sure I didn't just create two things called lister option. That would be dumb. So a lister option node has a string, a status or an index, a user data raw index. That's all just separate and it's all in a node. It's a bit confusing to have one thing called a lister option node, another thing called a lister option not actually be related to each other. We'll deal with the fallout from that real quick. Node putters everywhere. So Mikkel just sent me a link to like a thing with 4coder, and then like a wish that was like you could pop up like a UI right here that's, you know, shows stuff. I think that'll be possible someday. I'm building up a new vision in my head of the next big thing for 4coder, and it's hard to describe right now how it's all got to fit together, but that's actually on my to-do list. It's actually in my like long-term architecture plan to get that in there. That'll be like after multi-cursor's in. I'll switch back to that eventually. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Gotta get all these updated. Perfect. Okay, now I want to go to fixed option again. Where's fixed options? There it is. Dupe over here. Badoop right there. I'm going to call this basic list actually. And what you're going to do is pass in the options, the option count, and then the view summary. And then we're going to basically copy one of these for the most part. Good enough, good enough, good enough, good enough. Lister state. Yes. 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 Add all those in. Lister set query string. Handlers. handlers dot refresh. Now where does handlers come from then? Okay, so this guy's handlers are going to come from get default, get handler, get lister, handler, default handlers. Where is this? Where is the default handlers thing? Lister get default handlers. Dot activate equals the activate function. User data, lister, update UI. And then if I come over here and look at lister, update UI, what do I see? Yeah, so that'll just work. That'll update the UI from the lister structure we just built. Then the only question is, what happens if someone tries to call refresh on this? Okay, we check if the refresh handler exists, and if it does, we refresh. If it doesn't, nothing happens, which is what we want. Okay, so now we can create basic lists. Now, this down here deserves to be a basic list. It is basic because it doesn't change. It uses a very simple, standard sort. It's all, like, it's non-dynamic sort, doesn't change over time, doesn't have to do anything dynamic at all, like the file and buffer lists have to do. So, don't need any of that. Basic list. Activate command. Boom. Okay. Now the only problem is we have to create the list of options. The option count we can get straight from the command one pass last ID. Then we can do a temporary right here and get our own lister option array. Push that onto there. Lister option count. Okay, and now I'm taking in an array of options. I'm building an array of options. I'm passing it there, so now I just need to fill the array. So we need a loop that looks like this. And yeah, we don't need this. We do need that. Okay. The name with the space, we built that one. Make string. Okay, so this is not necessary anymore. The rest of that's all necessary still. I guess I should pull the arena out. So let's do that. Okay. Okay, so now this can build that. That's good. Terminates with null, that's good. And then the options I dot, and then we need the lister helper stuff. You pop over there for me. Okay, the string is just going to come from namespace.stir. We definitely need to fix it so we don't need to do all that work. That's really stupid. Status equals 4coder meta command table I dot you know, description. That's what it's called. And the user data. There we go. So that builds the option list and submits it. Let's see if that builds. Let's take a look at what I messed up. Arena lister. Oh, the user data is missing. Wait, no, the user data is there. What's this? Oh, the length. I need to put a length of 0 in for the extra space. Yeah. Yoshimoto555, don't you need to view start UI mode in command lister? No, so the way this works is I end UI mode in case there was already a UI in progress. Then I build the data I need for the lister, and then I call this right here, which initializes the UI mode along with doing other things. Beginning a lister begins the UI mode, basically. So any call that's like begin integrated lister will begin the UI mode. Alright, so okay, built. Let's see if it all still works. Full screen, load project. Build in build panel. Okay, all this appears to be working. Interesting thought. I might actually eliminate those if I replace them with a redo last command type thing. Alright, so that all works. So the basic lister is operational and those can go away. I want to track down another problem before we move on. Alright, UI type text field, UI type option, here it is. So, I want to say, do all this stuff, and then once you've done it, x plus equals, and put in a little bit of extra space for free, so that you don't have to insert a space to get it to look good. Because that will let us save all of this memory allocation nonsense that we're doing, trying to get it to do that. So, how do I do this? I guess if we look up where the drawstring stuff is, so text or font, helper drawstring, it must be around here somewhere. Maybe it's not under a helper, maybe it's under font. Drawstring, really? Okay, well, drawstring, where are you at? There you at? Okay. Whoops, didn't want that. I wanted this. Will you bring that back up for me? And then, I don't know, drawstring baby font ID right there. Get the pointers by ID. Some advances. Font string width, that's what I need. I knew I had this sitting around here somewhere. System, here's the render target. I see. So the idea is we're just setting the color and X and Y to all be 0. And then when we actually go to draw, we check to make sure if the color is 0 before we actually emit anything. Cool, okay. So that will do what I expect. I will have to cast it down out of a float. But otherwise, it'll do what I expect. Font ID and then a string. That's a single space. Okay. Bingo, bango. And now everything is broken because that just inserted spaces where they were already manually inserting spaces all over the place. So I need to now take a bunch of that stuff out. First of all, the big one, the big E. The big E is this one. So all of that can go away, and this can just be this. Score. Alright, but there are some others. For instance, every time I ever pass in a string to one of these begin integrated lister things, I put a space right there. That's no longer necessary. The spaces are now automatic. All of this stuff can go. So let me try this. We're going to find all occurrences of colon space quote and replace them with colon quote. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. The only other thing is some of these have status strings that start with spaces to cause this effect. Like these. So all of these can just be loaded star exclamation point. Keep looking for, there we go, star and exclamation point. Actually, I just realized the star and exclamation point down there need those still. Okay, because those are after the loaded. Yop, 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 yop. Ooh. Cool. Okay, build. Cool. Alright. So now we're looking really good. This one little extra line here and here just simplified all the code over here, especially anyone who ever wants to build a basic list like this. So next we're going to go back to the jump stuff. Jump lister. Okay, jump lister. So you are no longer all of that. That's all bogus. Instead, what you are is you are a basic list. You use the jump activate jump procedure. We still haven't answered that question about what that's going to be yet. You're going to have options and an option count, but that's not going to be a problem for you, I happen to know, because you can just do this. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna need a scratch and good, and then we're gonna need Good, there it is. So we're going to want one little bit of marker list equals get marker list for buffer jump buffer ID if the list does not equal 0. We do all this stuff here. Okay. 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 Sticky H marker list. What do you have for me, marker list? You have a count, surely. Yes, you do. Jump count previous size buffer. Yeah, okay. So I now want to know what is your jump count? That's what I want to know. Then I can make a lister option array that I push right onto our Scratch arena. And there we go. Now I'm going to do a quick loop over the options array. And for each option, we're going to do the thingy do. Okay, so we're going to take a jump array, that's a managed object, marker list. I'm not sure if I remember. Sticky jump node header. Okay, well then. I don't remember how all this fits together, so we're gonna go read it. Yo, how you fitting all this together again? Okay, what's the deal? You know, what is it? What is the deal? So the stored jump array goes into the jump array. The jumps.count. Okay, jumps.count. What is that? Jumps.count. Sticky jump stored. Jumps.count. Get ranges of duplicate keys. Jumps.count. Parse. Okay, so that's literally all of the jumps. Each one gets a sticky jump stored. Let's take a look at that. So a sticky jump stored has a line number for where it is in the list, a colon index for where its colon is on that line, whether or not it's a sub error, the jump buffer ID, which means the target buffer ID, which makes this really confusing. So we're going to change this to the list buffer ID because they're not supposed to be the same, they're supposed to be different. I know how big 4coder is in terms of lines of code. You can just ask. Let's take a peek. $57,000 a day. Right, I remember how it works. Okay, so what we have to do is, for each of these things, we grab a sticky jump stored. Okay, which we're going to get by going. Okay, and then we're going to go. Where's the managed object? I need a managed object, which is the stored jumps, which we get out of the list jump array. And then we can call managed object load data. There it is. App. The managed object is the stored jumps. I want index I want one of them, and there, the stored thing. Thank you. Now I have the stored data, that thing right there. I can now go options I dot name equals, you know, I don't know, description or no, status will be and the user data will be, this is where things get very confusing. The user data will be, I think it's just going to be int as putter I. You know? Can I safely store a pointer to the list in the user data of the whole lister? All it would take is someone closing that buffer while that lister is still open to corrupt it. So instead I store the buffer ID. But how does it know what view is the target view and the activation rule? I need more space. I only have 8 bits of user data, and I sometimes need more than that. Something for me to think about next. Okay. So how do I get the name? We have a scratch arena. We can just push something on there. We're going to read a line. Okay. Helper.cpp read line. There it is. Okay. No, 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 no. Fine. Have to get a buffer summary. Okay, there's our list buffer. Now we can do read line app scratch list buffer stored.line index. I believe I will come back around to it, and then line, and then line is terminated with null perfect line.stir. We'll just do that. Boop, boop that out to there, that goes into that, gets copied there, and then we clear it all. Okay, perfect. So we need to check in on the stickies. List line, that's what it's supposed to say. Okay. List line, and then we have that goes there, that goes there. Okay, that's all good. Now the only problem is this whole user data debacle for the list, because we have more than 8 bits. We need the list buffer ID. We also need the activation rule and the optional target view. Technically that could fit in 8 bits, but forget that. I need to think of something. Why, by the way? Oh, because it might be not. Yeah, right. Okay. So, what's the deal? What do we do? When I create a new UI, what I could do if there were a managed scope that I created along with the UI, then I could stuff into there the user data as a variable, and I wouldn't need to specify it through here, but yikes. I create a managed object and stuff its handle into the user data here. I still have to have that automatically cleared, which means I need the handle to the scope to manually clear it, or I have to, in the core, always create a new scope with every start UI mode and end that scope with end UI mode. That might be a good idea, though. I don't know. Well, this drunk data asks why don't I just make it bigger? Well, the whole goal, the reason it's 8-bit and not any bigger is because the idea is then you can stuff a pointer in there, and that way you don't have, like, you want an architecture where any size is easy to do. So that if someone comes along who needs a full K or 4K or 10K or gig or whatever of user data associated to their list, you want that to be possible for them if it makes sense, like if it's just the best way for them to do what they need to do, you want that to be possible. So the idea is that the 8-bits can be a pointer, but then there's this whole like managing the lifetime of that thing question, and that's what I'm actually thinking about, is how do I create a thing that has its lifetime tied to the lister, but that can be any size, without the user having to manually manage the lifetime. There's a couple of options, and I'm just thinking them through. So one interesting option would be, and I kind of did this with the options themselves, so when you're so when you're doing that, you can push those there so that they live inside that. Why wouldn't I do the same thing for this? It's a good question. It's a good question. Alright, let's take a look. So, UI helper. There it is. There's the user data pointer right there. And the lister lives inside of a lister state right here. If I wanted to, I could just say, here's the block, copy that, that's my user data, give it back to me later. And that could be literally anything of any size. It would push it onto its arena right at the beginning. Yeah, okay. That's going to take a little bit of refiguring. Okay, so what do we need to do? Do we want to have a version with the user data pointer being the thing you pass in, and then... Well, let me see if there's anything that uses it the way it's currently written, or if it's just nobody actually likes this version, and so I wrote it this way, but it doesn't get used. You know what I mean? Let's take a look. So that's not using it. That's not using it. That's not using it, not using it, not using it, not using it. Not using it. Aha. So this one right here is using it by stuffing the buffer ID, the target buffer ID in there. But it's only just the one. All these up here are just using it because they're passing it along, but that's literally the only one where we're using it that way. Nobody's already manually managing any lifetimes, so that's what we're going to do. Let's start from the UI helper. UI helper.cvp though. Begin with refresh handler. Boop, 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 boop. Call refresh handlers user data. Yeah. Lister dot user data equals user data. Yeah. Start UI mode. Set setting. Grab the state, init lister state. That's the one I'm looking for. So once we've initialized the lister state, lister first init. What does that do? Copy into there, from there, that much byte. Okay. You can go away now, and let's begin. Right. Didn't call it that back then. Gotta constantly pay the price. State arena, user data size, 32T user data size, push and align onto that arena of 8. There we go. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do that right here. Okay. My bad, I meant to say arena. Okay, so this again, state arena, user data size. User data size. Now, if that's just going to be a problem, I'm just going to bop that down one line like that. Oh, okay, I bop that down a line too. I don't care. And then there's that. Pop that down a line. Next. Yep, we're gonna have to pop you down a line, and just that. And then there's that. Pop you down a line. You down a line. Hey, this one's already bopped down a line. That's good news. Saves me the trouble. Yeah! Of course, that's going to break now when we activate, because it's thinking that the pointer it gets back is a pointer as an int, but it's actually a pointer to an int now. So we really want to, like that. Yoshimoto555 says, having trouble inserting UTF-8 characters with buffer replace range, trying to insert the arrow right character, but it's writing /E2 into the buffer instead. Any ideas? Show me your code, if you can. Unless you're typing. If you're literally just trying to type that character, then how are you doing that? Because I will give it a shot and see what happens. If I can repro it, I can fix it. Okay, so let's see if kill buffer still works, because that's the only one that we threatened to mess up. Foo txt, foo bar bat, baz, bally, smiz, raz, maraz. I don't know if everyone else knows all the continuations of foo bar, but I just made them up just now. And say I did this and that. That's not a good sign. So I did that and that. Okay. Well, let's take a look. Something went wrong. Activate kill buffer. Uh-oh. There's your problem right there. No, that's not your problem. That's not your problem. It's not that kill buffer that even is interesting. It's the one with the fixed option one. Where is the fixed option one? Yes, no, save all, and close. Yes, no, save and kill. Aha! Here's the one. Okay. Badoo. Buffer ID 688K, and then we go to kill that buffer, and I suppose maybe what happens is it doesn't exist. Yeah, okay. So that's just okay. Let's take a look at you next time through. Badoop. Okay. So buffer ID is actually 13. We come in here, we have a user data pointing to a 13 and a size of 4. We come in here, we still have a size of 4 and a user data pointing to 13. So we come in here, we still have that. We say, is that? No? Okay, so we push 4 on there, align to 8, like so, and then we copy that into there. Boop. Okay, so that just became a 13. So our lister definitely has a pointer pointing to 4 bytes of the number 13. Then we do this stuff. I'd like to still be looking at that thing. It's just, you know, the name to it has changed. So Visual Studio is being grumpy. Okay. We get to the end of here. It still says 13. Update UI, it still says 13. Okay, so what's going on there, right? When I hit yes, oh. No, that's the behavior, that's correct. How did you become a 0? That's the question. Someone must have cleared the arena to 0 at some point along the way. State arena. I bet they did. Okay. Let's do that again. Sorry, I didn't mean to close. I wanted to continue. That's stupid. Foo.txt, foo.bar bat, baz, fizz, faz, maraz. I've changed it this time. Yep, you got it. Okay, so now I ask if I may close this. Come in here, come in here. Okay, now it's initialized. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that, put it right there, copy, new data breakpoint right there, boom, resume. Yes. What is this thing talking about? Okay, so that was useless. It's a different state. Let's try that again. So we come down here, we grab that state. Okay. Here's the state we start with. Okay. Cleared it to 0, gave it a value, there we go. So here is the pointer that state right there has to there. While I'm at it, I'm also going to just go one step further and also store in my table a little bit of this. Okay, and there's the address we like. Okay, now we take that address and we say, if anything ever happens to that address, you let me know. We keep running. I hit yes. And now the state pointer still says phoebe90018, but the user data pointer is different. Okay, so the state is coming through the same, but somewhere along the line the user data pointer is getting repointed. In the meantime, is this thing still sitting there looking pretty? It is. Okay, so the only problem is that that is changing. Okay, we can deal with that. So this is not the data breakpoint we needed. Okay, yes. Okay, for future notice, this is actually a good breakpoint to have in this case. Here we go. Alright, so it's not that I want that, it's that I want that. Okay. Let me know if that pointer changes. Boom, here it is. Ah, there, found it. Plain and stupid. Okay. All of these are wrong. Don't go around changing that user data pointer anymore. Any other occurrences of user data being set that I need to know about? Okay, that's accurate. That's accurate. That's good. That's good. Okay. Now, does the kill work? Yes. Okay. Alright, so now we can return to jump lister and figure out what we actually want to do about this. It's also time to get jump lister included for reals. Okay, so the user data we want to push on there, and its size. Well, if I had this over here, I would say that it's something like a jump lister parameters. We're going to want to know the list buffer ID, activation rule, and optional target view. Except we're going to rewrite that as a view ID now, like so. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this opportunity to build one of those. We're going to pass that in right there, that in right there, and then jump lister params dot list buffer ID equals the list buffer ID. Jump lister params dot activation rule equals the activation rule, not jump rule. Activation rule. Jump lister params dot target view equals if optional target view does not equal 0, the optional target view view ID. That all gets passed into there, gets copied in, and the user data points to it. Okay. So now okay, that's a mismatch. You see that? There's still a jump bug too, because I'm supposed to be on line 11 and I'm on line 32, which is a bug for like that many more lines down. Oh, okay. So a couple things. Default include, yeah. So this is a jump lister. Don't know if you knew, but yeah. Scope commands, function list, project commands, jump sticky, yeah. Okay, jump lister.h lives right there. Read line. Cannot convert argument 3 from buffer ID pointer to buffer summary. Okay, well, you didn't jump me to the right line again, 4coder. I'm on line 39, and I'm supposed to be on line 26. Can't ship yet, because I haven't figured out why that bug happens. At least I know it's still happening, though. Okay. What else you got for me? Again, this is line 39. Should be on line 27. Is it because there's a sub error? Is that what's causing the weirdness? Is that why it's squinky? String. Okay, now I just need to write an activate function. Let's go over here to lists and see an example activate function. There we go. Activate jump. So now we have all this stuff coming in at us, and we can go Okay, activate jump. Why don't we go to activate kill buffer? Okay, so yeah, what we basically have here is we have list index, or yeah, jump index equals int 32t, put her as int user data, and then we have to get the state, and then we have to get, well, we're not getting a buffer ID out of it. This time what we're getting is one jump lister parameters, params equals jump lister parameters, state user lister dot user data. There we go. And now we do the thing that comes next. Probably I do this and I say switch on the params activation rule. We might also want to get the marker list again. Params list buffer ID. Okay. If list does not equal 0, lister activation finished. Okay. Matt Dev, what is up? That I repeat back to you. I am working on cool jump listy thing. Doop, 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 doop. Oops. Okay, so those will return that, these will return these. Okay, now we need, let's see, if we're opening in the UI view, then that means we're taking the view that we're actually in, that view there, and we're doing the jump right there. Okay. Jump sticky.cpp. Whoops, sorry, I meant CPP. Sticky. There we go. So delete marker list. List for buffer get also. Next nearest from the list. Go to jump at cursor stick get. Go to jump in order. Where is the thing that just lets me go to a jump given its list index? Get jump from list. So I pass in the list index, and it returns to me whether or not it successfully got something and the location. And then I manually jump to it. But look, that one and that one are doing very similar things. Are you sure this is the right way to do it? Switch to existing view. Go to jump at cursor. Same panel sticky. So the only difference is how we get a target view changes. Okay. Yeah, I guess these are all pretty different, aren't they? Okay, fine. Then we'll follow that pattern ourselves right here. Except I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Lister activation code, result code equals blah. And these are going to all switch to saying result code equals Actually, I'll have it say that by default too. Okay, then this one right here can be a continue along with this one. And then at the end, we will return the result code. And I gotta pop that outside the switch too. Okay, so there's a little bit of the puzzle, but there's more because we also want to set the target view. Yeah. So in this case, the target view is the view right there. And then we also want to say whether or not we end the UI. Well, that's determined by that. So yeah, there we go. Okay, target view. Here, how do we get target view? Open in target view. So we're going to do get view by just get view. Is it that? Hold on. 4coder custom docs get view. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Get view app params target view ID access all, and then we grab that target view right there. This is going to get the target view in the exact same way. This one will get its target view by going, let's go over to helper.cpp, next view looped, no, it must be under framework, next view looped primary panels. Okay. Target view equals the view, and then we do get next view looped primary panels. App target view access all, and then that'll give me that target view that way, and we do the same thing again right there. Okay, then what we do is we come over here and we say view end UI mode app, and there's the target view. So if it's in the UI, drop that. Actually, wait, why would we do that? That's silly. That doesn't need to be done. What does need to be done is we come back to the jump sticky. The jumps, this is the part that will handle that. So we're going to do this. Doop. And we're going to say get that from that. We have the list sitting around already. When did we get the list? We got the list way up there. Yeah, so we've got the list. We know our list index. It comes from, yeah, so this right here is the list index. And then we grab a location. If that succeeds, then we grab a buffer. What are we doing here? Get jump buffer. So this is trying to get the buffer that we can actually jump to, is what it's doing. Okay. This is going to look a lot like this from there on out, except the target view is already set. So we're going to switch to existing view. Wait, no, that's not right. Jump to location. ID position jump to location. Oh yeah, this is correct. So we just do that and we switch to existing view. Maybe we always want to do the rule here. Let's do that for now. So target view, set active view app target view, jump to location Target view, buffer location, all that. Okay. Okay, let's see if we've got this thing working. This should be able to do... Oh, well, I haven't actually bound anything to actually use this yet. Open jump lister might work, but I can't call it. So let's make this callable. I'm going to make a quick function here. A quick command that I should say that's like... Open jump convert view jump list with jump lister with lister. Okay. Custom doc. When executed on a buffer with jumps, creates a lister with all the jumps. Persistent. That's a spelling problem. Persistent. Okay, I got it right. Thanks for the advice. Let's see. There we go. And okay. Let's see here. You know, I figure at this point, I'm not sure, but I should do something like this as well. There you go, Jim. You're a good fellow. You moderate my Discord. You might as well be able to help out around here too. All right. So, when executed on a buffer with jumps, create a persistent lister with all the jumps. For all the jumps would be better. Now, we want jump list with list. Yep. So what we're going to do is try to call open jump lister with app. Global partition, view, list buffer ID. So that would be view.bufferID. If that isn't a list, it will just fail. There you go, there you go, there you go. Only trouble is if you haven't already activated one of the jumps, it won't be parsed yet, so we'll have to do something about that, but that's a separate thing to think about in a minute. Activation rule. So I want a jump lister activation open in next view keep UI. There we go. Optional target view, no. Okay. Okay, so, yeah, so all that seems good. The only problem is that we have to think about let's see if this works without that first, because I don't think it will, but it at least will work after I activate it once, so I can just make sure that the rest of that works. And then I can check if this thing is activated and try to activate it somehow. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to load the project. And then we're going to do a search for all the for loops. Then we're going to view jump list with lister. No, didn't work. That's the kind of thing that would be a little bit tricky to make work, since I have to end the UI mode and then it's going to get started again. Damn. That's complicated shit. Okay, well the point is, one way or the other, I'm going to have to bind that to make it work for now. So, metagen, let's take a look. Flying Solomon, yeah, we got a command lister now. Alright, so where is the bind stuff? Here it is. So, where's the one that does... Yeah, so what if I want... Do I do something with this? No. Okay. We are now binding / modifier control to the view jump list with lister. I have to think about that whole deal with this context of the view fucking up. There might be a way to deal with it still. I'm not sure. It's just tricky because you gotta run the activation to find out the result, and if you run the activation, find out the result, and then the result is like end the UI, it's going to end it then. How do we then activate again? What we could do is have two activation phases. Activate before, which does the return, do that thing, and then activate after, so that you can do any actions like calling a command that needs the fresh context. That way, the only thing you would be responsible for is, in the first one, return the type of activation you need. So like this part here, that, and then in the second part, do that thing. or maybe instead during the activate call you should be able to decide when you want to do that state cleanup yourself. We'll have to look at it. We have to look at it. And then if there is no activate call, there's a default activate call that just does the cleanup and nothing else. That would be pretty smart, because then you could control everything in order of when you want it to happen very intricately and without having to do like header work like this twice. Okay, we'll look at that soon. But view jump with list with lister. View jump list with lister is on there. Okay. As long as I'm adding that, I might as well add it for real because it's kind of a useful thing probably. Hopefully. I'm hoping. That's why we're building it. And so we might as well make it really, really real. And this isn't being used over here either, is it? Oh, it is used over there. Yikes. Okay, then this will just be with an alt. Is that okay? Dang, that's already taken 2. Okay, no, we can't do this. This is the wrong key for it. Okay, okay, sorry, taking it back. So that's not open. Is this taken? No. Okay, there's our key. So that'll be that one. This will be this one. Load. So there we have the files. I want search, and then nothing happens. Okay, let's take a look. Are you even trying, or is this command not getting executed yet? Jump lister. Let me know if you're even trying first. Okay, so you are trying. We come in here, and the problem is there is no list. Okay, now let me force there to be a list, and then I'm going to boom. Now we come in here, and okay. So maybe it works? Oh, it doesn't work. Okay. What seems to be the problem here? Did we run out of space on the arena? We did. How did that happen? Well, there's a lot of these things. Maybe it was just too many. Maybe it was just too many lister items. Option count was 2045. Our arena has this much space in it. Dividing that by 2045 gives 32. The number of, let's see, the size of one of these, 64. Yeah, we don't even have close to enough space. We need more than double the amount of space we've got right now to make this work. Okay, so what do we do in this case? Because I feel like list or jump lists are just the kind of thing where you could get a lot of them all the time. Often you're not going to have that many because you're not usually looking for 4, but it could happen. So what do we do? Do we just cap it and say, hey, if it's past the limit, it's not in your list, sorry? Do we say, I don't know, especially for, well, we could look at the size. We know the size going into it in this case. We know the size going into it. We have the option count, which means when we do this, we could have a special version of the init lister state that lets us ask for more memory for the arena than you usually do. Okay, so let's take a look at that. 347 under lists.cpp. Okay, and then we go to UI helper over here, init lister state. Yeah, so usually the arena size is just 64K hard-coded, but let's do this. Let's say that we can optionally say what the arena size is, and then down here we have the wrapper. Okay. That just goes state, heap, and then lister size, arena size. You know, I'm gonna actually keep it like this so we have a name on it. Arena size. Okay. So then okay. Yep. And now integrated lister basic list. We'll default to 64K, but then we will compute. Oops, we'll do it this way. If arena size is less than that, just set it back to that as the default thing, and then arena size. And then what this can be right here is just some number, which is user data size plus option count times the size of an lister node. And then probably round that up to a kilobyte. Arena size, or to 4K even, equals arena size plus 4K minus 1 minus, and arena size equals arena size minus arena size modulo 4K. Okay. Flying Settlement, I have bigger plans than just what is bound to this key. I mean, I'm gonna do that, yes, but I plan to go a little bit farther than that and make a whole allocator thing. I don't know. I'm gonna turn it into a interactive compression thing. I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's hard to describe where I'm taking the keys thing, but I have definitely taken note of your what is bound to this key thing and taken it in my head as the first step in series of things I'm gonna do eventually. Maybe not in this build, but maybe, I'm not sure. It's kind of related, but it's a little bit off topic, so I think I'm gonna hold off on it for now. But pretty soon, now that we have the listers, I want to get like runtime rebinding in there. And for that, I'm gonna need all kinds of stuff like reporting what's bound and stuff. Alright, so let's take a look. I loaded the project. We want to see if we can list all the 4s and then create a jump. Well, jump to the first one and now create this. Still failing, huh? What's going on there? It wasn't big enough. It was quite big, but it wasn't big enough. Okay, let's take a look how that's possible. User data size plus option count. So we ended up with this to begin with. And that got one of these applied to it. And then that got one of these applied to it. So that's bigger than that. Make strings. Well, I'm not pushing copies of anything else around, am I? Init lister state. Does init lister state do anything with the arena besides that? Makes the arena here. Clears that to 0. Okay. Lister first init. Lister first init. Makes your fix with strings, push something on the arena. Okay, that should be running out of space then. Rounds up to 8, but we rounded up to 4K. So that shouldn't be the problem. It's still running out halfway through. How's that even happening? Is there anything else when I do list add item? Ah, I push more shit on there. Possibly. Well, I don't know. Why would extra space be anything other than 0 in this case? Extra space is supposed to be 0 all the time, right here, yeah. So there's nothing. Well, I aligned to 8 though, is that it? How big is a lister node? It was 64, so aligned to 8 shouldn't cause a problem. Let's take a look, shall we? It's called 4coder for a number of overlapping and different orthogonal reasons. The fact that it's 4coder is a part of it, yes, obviously. Like, I'm not picking a name. When I pick a name, I'm not thinking here's the story behind it. I pick a name because it has multiple stories behind it that all fit, and so that's one of the stories behind it that fits. Oops. Please don't do this right now. Load project. All my 4s, there's one of them, and then I do that, and now the question is, what is my arena size? It's that big, so I've got an arena of that size. I want to take a look at state arena. Position is currently 0. We pushed that far in. 16. So how much we have left at any given time will be this minus this. Okay. Now if I take that number and I divide it by option count. Oh, my mistake. I meant to put this into parentheses. Then it says 64 right now. If I divide that by 64, it tells me how many of those there are. If I take option count, and I take I take option count minus I, now we'll be able to watch, hopefully, what's going wrong here. So we have enough space for 2047 of these, and we only need 2045 more. We do one, and it took two. Okay, let's take a closer look. Come in here, don't care, don't care, don't care. Don't care, don't care, don't care. Begin. Okay. And here it is pushing string copies on. And so that goes in there. Alright, that's quite a bit more memory that we need. So we're only even allocating enough space for all of the nodes, and we actually have all these strings sitting around too. So to actually get this right, I would have to iterate the entire list twice and find out the sizes of all these things first. Alternatively, okay. So, if I go to the jump lister, then the idea is basically as we're going, we have to do all this, and then estimated string space size plus equals stir size of the line stir. Wait, we already have line.size plus 1. Okay, so we at least don't have to string strudel in that. We're getting this string struct back, which has a size in it. We add that into there. That gives us an estimated string space size. That can get pushed in here to tell it, hey, here's how much space you're really going to need. This is a big list, so here you go. And then there we go. Right. Ignore you. Actually, don't need you anymore, probably. Load the project. For loop. Activate the first one, and boom. Still no good. Still no good. Okay. What did I miss now? Got very close to fitting, but it didn't quite fit. That must be because in addition to inserting strings now, I have the extra problem okay. Let's do this again. Keeps taking forever. Load the project. No, sorry, load the project. Can't type load project anymore, it doesn't work. Gotta get used to the new Alt-X stuff. And then we can command insert search list locations for. There we go. And now I want to see this as it happens. Boom. Okay. So we estimate that we have enough space for that many nodes. Here's how many we need to actually put in, but this is of course wrong, as we know, because there's an estimated string size involved now. And if we subtract that out from this first, then it looks like that more. Okay, now we go into the next item. Make string slowly, don't care. Make string slowly, don't care. List or add item, here we are. Now, can we come in here? And so we return a 0 string. Perfect. And then we say pre-alloc. We come in here. We actually have a string this time. So we push that plus 1, and then we align to 8. There's the fucker. Okay. Yeah. So it's the lines that I haven't accounted for yet. So one last time, we go to jumplister.cpp. When we do this, we need to also add in the align to 8. So aligned size equals all of this plus 7. Align size equals align size minus align size modulo 8. Align size. Okay. Alright, one more time. Load the project. Then we list of fours, activate that list, and then hey, it ran. Alright, so now I can look through all these and be like, I'm really interested in, it's somewhere in Win32 4ed. Yeah, this one. Wait, no, my bad. I meant this one. What is this? Cool. Alright. We're getting somewhere. I'm going to take a break soon, but we're not quite done with why we built all that. That is just marginally neat. It's just like cool that we have that much power with this lister. But if we go to the to-do and look at what's right underneath that, that was all for servicing this one thing, the function lister. Okay. Okay. So somewhere in here, I have a file, function list. Function fucking list. Look at this shit. Very complicated, does a lot of nonsense. A lot of work. And here's the only one we function parameter. The only command we got out of it was list all functions current buffer. So we want to be able to do several things today to make this a super awesome feature finally. One is automatically make list. 2 is make list for entire lister for function list. Make list for all buffers. Once we get those two things done, we'll have a command that with one keystroke allows you to jump to any function in your entire code base by name without knowing the file it's in, without necessarily knowing the order of the words in it if you need help finding it, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to get that done, and then I'm going to take a break. Okay. for food. So, list all functions current buffer. Custom command sig, list all functions, lister. Wait. List all functions current buffer, lister. There we go. Creates a lister for jumping to creates a lister filtered creates a lister of all lines that appear to of all locations that look like function definitions and declarations in the buffer. We list all the functions and then jumplister.cpp what happens after I list all the functions? I imagine that yeah, we just take the active view in this case and we set the Decals buffer onto that view. So then all we have to do is call this function. Open jump lister. Was it really that easy? No, it wasn't. Because I didn't bind the command to anything. It won't work with the command list because of the thing we haven't fixed yet. So I have to go. Let me make sure I add that to the to-do list. Fix the thing with the thing in the lister thing. With lister command things. There we go. That should do it. Let's go ahead and okay. Open jump listed. We gotta bind it to something. Metagen. Where is the thing that does this? That would be capital I. Are there any other occurrences of capital I doing something interesting? I see 2 occurrences of lowercase I, so no, what we can do is just make this an alt, shift I, lister. Lister, bitch! Actually, why don't I just like that, you know what I mean? Like, why do I even want the other version anymore? If this works, I would never use the other version. pull up 4ed.cpp. And let's interesting. Close that. See what happened just there. So 4coder function list.cpp. What's the deal with you? Okay. Open jump lister. The list. Oh, we didn't fix that part of it yet. Okay, let's figure out how to fix that part of it first. Basically, the problem is we need somebody to do jump sticky. Go to jump at cursor, same panel sticky. Okay, let's take a look at that. Go to jump at cursor, same panel sticky. Get or make list for buffer. Okay. Get or make list for buffer. Okay, so what I want is basically if the marker list jump count turns out to be 0, then I want to immediately unmake this and set the result to 0. So how do I do that? Make new marker list or delete marker list. Okay, good. Now if I come over if I come over here, then this can just be a open jump lister, does get or make list, get or make list. Only problem is if I get or make list, I have to add some help. Get or make list. It looks like it's just a scratch, right? Init marker list? Yeah, it's just a scratch. So why doesn't this say scratch? Okay. So get or make list for buffer. App. Scratch. Heap. We don't have a heap yet. But we can do, so heap, and then the buffer ID. That's it. Okay. And so the only changes that have to happen are we gotta boop you down to the next line, plop you in right there. Okay. And then pop on over to the function list file, and we need to zoop you like so, bop you down like that, and there we go. Whoops, I didn't mean to trigger you. Boom. Okay. This is a good clip. Good call, Mickle. Yes, good clip indeed. Alright. Don't need you hanging around anymore. Go ahead and load the project. This build is about to get off the hook. We're going to pull up 4ed.cpp. And then we're going to do a function list. Still no good. Okay. Okay, I'll step through and we'll take a look at what happened. Function list. Hey! This isn't the right spot. There we go. Go away. Boom. Okay. So that much we know is working. Open jumper list, get or make. It comes back 0, huh? Okay, let's see that again. Get or make. Result is 0, yes. Result was 0. We get a pointer, yes. Init marker list. What happens? Well, we come through here. We got 0 jumps. How did we get 0 jumps? How did we get 0 jumps? I mean, these are real jumps, right? They work. And now it works. What's the buffer ID here? So it's a different buffer ID? Oh. Should have known. Should have known. So this is the wrong view buffer ID right here. Yeah, what I actually have to do is get the active view again, because even though the active view isn't changing, its state is changing, and that's happening in a place where this view summary can't see it. It's a very poor decision I made about the API a long, long time ago that I will fix someday. Now, we need the project. We don't need the breakpoint. There we go. We don't need you. Should have closed you before I opened the project, I suppose. Thank you. Thank you. Are you done? Oh, close that. I got close panel. Thank you. There we go. Now 4ed.cbp. Hey. Alright, I want to find the step function. Yes! Amazing. Alright, let's go big screen now. I want to play with some more stuff. Take me to the API implementation file. I want to find the thing that's like managed object. Oh, you don't have all the managed object stuff? What are you talking about? Buffer get man. You don't recognize the case sensitive. Okay, I gotta make this case insensitive still, I guess. Managed object. Yeah, please take me to managed object get item size. This is awesome. Okay. So that's for one buffer. Now I want to make a new version of list all functions that goes across the entire set of all buffers and dumps it all into one big jump list. Okay. What is this gonna take? So right now we grab the Decals buffer and then we make sure it exists and whatnot. That only needs to happen once. Begin a temp memory. We say we're gonna grab 4K of memory and figure out how many function positions there are. And then we print the positions we've got, get positions. So this gets as many function positions as it can in the current buffer, and then prints them out. And all we have to do is make this a loop over multiple buffers. Pretty sure. Still looping. Get positions result. Token index. So token index, Right. Okay, so it needs to have tokens to work, and this is a part of. Okay, all right, I see it. Buffers. We're gonna go with buffer ID array, buffer count for all of the buffers wait, no, this is the wrong direction. Because I don't want to have to push down a list of all the buffers in the entire program. So instead what we're going to do is say optional buffer. And what we're going to do is say, okay, we have one of two possibilities. We're either iterating all the buffers or optional target buffer or something like this. I don't know. Yeah. For buffer summary buffer equals whatever the fuck. If optional target buffer does not equal 0, then buffer equals the optional target buffer. And then again, if that down here, then we break. This way, this piece of code here can just be what it is, and this loop will just be ignored if we have the optional target buffer. But if we don't have the optional target buffer, then it will do the full loop. And what is the full loop? We're going to have a buffer summary buffer it equals get buffer first. Get first, what is this? Get buffer first. There it is. App access all. Buffer it still exists. Right here we put down the buffer it. And get buffer next. App buffer it. Now, if buffer, let's take a quick look here. Where's the buffer summary? Okay. Is next. Tokens are ready. That's the one I need. If buffer.tokens are ready, not, then continue. And otherwise you do that work there. You print all that stuff out there into there, and then you do that, and that. Okay. Get buffer next. Function does not take the argument. You also want the access all. I know. Okay. Get position result. Cannot argument from buffer summary to buffer summary. Fair enough. Okay. Cannot convert argument 2 from buffer summary to yes, fair enough. Okay. So now we can make a list all functions all buffers, which is unique in that it only does that. And a list all functions all buffers lister creates a jump list of lines from all buffers that appear to define a blah 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 blah. And this we can copy real quick actually. Functions all buffers lister creates a lister of locations in all buffers. Okay, and then we just boom, goodbye, hello. Yes. Yeah, so this can go away. And, oh, you know what? This can also go away. And we list all the functions. We grab the active view. That should be an access all. And then we open the jump lister right there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the MetaGen one more time, and we're going to make this a all buffers lister. List all functions all buffers lister. Okay. Load the project. List all the functions. I don't know if we're... Okay, so we have a problem. Okay, where is it failing? Okay, so it's not even hitting that close. Okay, it's not getting there at all. I know what the problem is. Stop. Okay. Boom. Okay. And now one thing at a time, we close the panel, we load the project. I can even accidentally miss the L, which I do like half the time, and it still pulls load project up. What? That's so awesome. I type OAD almost every other day and have to take a 5-second like and backspace and get it right, and now it's just gone. It's just gone. And Control Shift I, does that do anything? Okay, it's doing something. Hopefully it's not crashing. It's just doing a lot of work. It's pretty slow. Yeah, okay. Okay. So the problem is something. It's too many functions. I think. Okay, let's take a look at the call stack. Where did things go wrong? So here we are. We're listing all functions, all buffers lister. We're on the open jump lister part, so we can actually make that list. That list is buildable, and we builded it. We just need to open jump lister it. And the problem is get or make list for buffer. Because get or make list for buffer is trying to parse out all those jumplet locations that we stored in there and alloc buffer markers on buffer. And I'm not sure I understand exactly why we're failing. I mean, first is obviously pointing to something nonsense, and last is, you know, pointing to something nonsense, and header is fine, though, and so I guess the problem is trying to get a handle on why our buffer marker list is Was it really that big? It can't be that big. So what went wrong is the question. Get or make list for buffer. Init marker list. Okay, so it failed right away, which suggests to me this isn't just about memory size or something. It's a bug, not a memory size phase change type problem. So, here we go. Boom. Nope. Close the panel. I'm gonna have to start figuring out what the best way to find those are. So if I do like OSP. So if I could do star matching, which I want to get back in, I could do like CL star P and get closed panel or something. I don't have to tell you, man. I don't have to tell you, Nickel. It's just I think a part of it is because I type it fast enough that I hit the L before it gets received. But like, L and O are on my ring finger, which means I'm using my ring finger twice in a row. Usually it's nice if you don't have the same finger typing 2 characters in a row. I think the main problem is having 2 characters on the same finger in a row that aren't the same. If it's just like OO, it's pretty easy to get that. But if it's like LO, you tap L2 light to get to the O next, and it doesn't go in or something. Okay. Clean all lines, build basic. We've got a project, right? Did we load a project? Let me just do that real quick in case I didn't. Looks like I didn't. And then we got the project. We want to hit this. It's doing work. I think I put a breakpoint in, so it should break before it breaks, hopefully. It's quite a long time of parsing that it has to do. Ideally, what we would do is find a way to build do the parse once, and then keep it updated, because that's quite a slow parse. And right now, the way it works is you'd have to wait for that parse every time, which is not ideal at all. But I mean, once it's made, why would you? We're going to want to make a specialized data structure for this and get off of the marker, like the jump list stuff. Instead of building a jump list, we're going to want to do the all functions thing in a smarter way, I bet. I don't see the ZDLL part anywhere. Where did that go? Init marker list. Let's just keep stepping a little bit at a time here. So we have a nice long bunch of jumps. That came through correctly. 3,853 of them. Just sitting there. Buffers. Okay, so it's here in the alloc buffer markers that things get squinky. How did those get corrupted so bad? Okay, so we're trying to init a marker list, and we right here alloc that. Here's the scope of interest. Target buffer ID, scope array, 243, we get 246, we pass that in there with that guy again. That should have given us the scope that we wanted as 246, yep, and then the header looks reasonable up until it starts this. So how did the workspace end up with such a corrupted buffer marker list? Okay, now I know where the crash happens, I can be a little bit more careful. No, that's redundant. Let's just load the project. Let's build the list. Now we are parsing, it's going to take a while. Okay, the parse is done, and now we are trying to build the marker list. We get through all that just fine, I think. We get the scope we want. We go in to do the alloc on this scope. .246, very good. Get dynamic workspace. Okay, so that workspace already has a weird, messed up buffer marker list. Okay, so alloc manage memory and scope. Where is the thing? Manage variable. Get managed scope with multiple dependencies. Had a wild thought. Anyway, get dynamic workspace. Boom. And again. Load project. Build the jump list and just make the marker jumper, or the jump lister. We need a jump list and then a jump lister. Okay, we're going to jump down to here. Multiple dependencies. There we go. Should be 2 buffers. 1 buffer, 2 buffers. Filled array. Lifetime get or create intersection key. Existing key? No. New key. We fill the new key up with some... Oh, we need to do some work on the allocator first, but we come out the other end and finally we get our new key. Then we add that key to both of the objects. There we go. We initialize the new key's members. Object putter array. Members. Count. Dynamic workspace init. So the workspace right now has not been initialized. And there, now the init workspace is initialized, and look at that. It never clears that to 0? How does this even work? It's just not cleared to 0? Okay. So my best explanation is that all the testing I've done so far was very simple, and now we're actually hitting a case where there's garbage memory there. Either way, what should happen is when I grab this new key, I should clear it to 0. That should fix this, right? Because the dynamic workspace, yeah, it's just sitting in there anyway. That thing should be getting cleared to 0, so 556 on dynamic variables. Load the project. There we go. We're now doing all that parsing work. Once the parsing work is done, we will be hopefully getting our jump list. Okay. Now I can't remember where it is, but somewhere in the 4coder code base, somewhere there should be a function called something with the word batch in it. Yeah, show me all the things with the word batch. Edit batch, buffer batch, debug sort check, edit max strip, buffer invert buffer et batch, edit step, buffer batch, edit update cursors, buffer batch, edit. Edit batch. Okay, so it's pretty slow to activate because of the fact that it has to do a full parse of the entire code base every time based on the way it's designed right now, but it works. I'm not going to call this a full celebration yet because of how slow the parse is. I'm going to back off to a current buffer type solution for now, but it all works, which means it's just a matter of figuring out how to cache this data structure and like keep a living version of it over time or something, which is going to be a little interesting, but you know, possible. I want to look for somewhere I have the word insert. None of those. Yes, the custom docs. That might be the way to find what I'm looking for. I can't read enough of it to actually decide which one I want. That's annoying. Interesting. It's actually not as many things with the word insert as I would have expected, huh? Boop. 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 Where's the one where I define it? Okay, where's the one listener node, listener node. These are all in there in file track. Okay. Yep. Yes, close, don't make any changes. Alright, so a little bit of a letdown because of the parsing problem, but that stuff is done. So, this technically should go up here. I'm going to take a break. It's been like 3.5 hours, I think, maybe even more. Yeah, a little over 3.5 hours already. We've got plenty more to do, as you can see right here. Our snippet lister, turbo word complete lister, project related listers. Plenty more to try to leverage out of this. Before I go, I do want to go ahead and swap over to our best version so far, which is the one with the current buffer lister. Not as good as I wanted it to be, but pretty good. Definitely an improvement over the old function list. And you know, there's always another build. Anyway, thanks everyone. A lot of people came out to chat this morning, so thanks for coming around, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.